Welcome back to Cyber Unfiltered. Bob, Matt, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Hello, hello.
You know,
Good. All right.
another day, another breach. Who knows?
We live in a world of perpetual just disappointment. like we try to be positive, and then we open up like not even the news, because the news is depressing anyway, but like anything, and it's just perpetual disappointment. But for like the longest time, ransomware has been a thing for longer than 10 years, but let's go back 10, 11 years where it really started picking up steam, maybe 12 years. Right. It's always been a person doing it.
Longer than that. COVID's at 6 years now, guys.
Wow.
But like, what was it? Mid 2010s when ransomware really picked up and really started exploding. I mean, it's been around for a lot longer than that, but let's just play that game.
But now we can automate it.
Well, yeah, historically it's been a person, right? Until our friends over at Sysdig, which we don't know them, so I guess they're not really friends, but Sysdig posted this where it was the first agentic ransomware attack. It was purely done by AI, an AI agent. So they called it Jade Puffer, and kind of the most unsettling detail is it left running commentary explaining its own thinking like an intern while it was working.
Hey, Dad, look at what I did. Watch me.
There's another unnerving part of this. We'll get to it later. But like, what is your gut reaction about this? Hearing the story.
It's like, here we go. It's just another page, another chapter in the book of the breach of the week, and now it's going to explode. You've already got people writing AI books. People using AI to go create books. Now we got AI creating ransomware and executing it for them.
So I love that, and I want to talk about AI slop. But let's hold that thought for a second, because there's something funny about this whole situation. Not funny for the company, but funny in general. So Matt, what's your reaction? What do you think?
No, it's kind of something we've seen coming, but we always talked about, these tools are getting better and better. But I feel like it's a pretty big step when the tool ran away on its own, did a thing, and kind of, I guess it didn't really blog about it, but it tracked it. It was like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm this. Look at this, I'm successful.
Hey man, you need a log when your ransomware agent goes out there and commits crimes, right?
And we all knew it was coming, but it's freaky, just freaky seeing it truly happen for the first time.
Let's back up a second, because we're going to talk more about this. But at the beginning of June, the White House signed an executive order. It was called Promoting Artificial Intelligence, Innovation, and Security. We'll strip out the Washington language on this. It basically does three things. It tells the government to start grading the most powerful AI models. So that includes like Claude Mythos, which we've talked about, which was used to exploit some things. OpenAI has ChatGPT 5.6, which is a really big cybersecurity push, and it hasn't been released yet. Well, it's been released internally to some companies, but not publicly. And just how good they are at offensive cyber tests. Offensive meaning the attack method, right? Like what happened with this Jade Puffer situation. They're really good at finding and exploiting software flaws.
Wonderful.
And this order pushes the government more into grading them and testing them. And then it also gives CISA orders to speed up government cyber defense and push AI-powered defensive tools out to critical infrastructure. So CISA's whole job is to protect critical infrastructure, so it makes sense that they'd want to push AI-powered defensive tools. But that wouldn't have really helped here. It was a vulnerability. This executive order also sets up a voluntary lane where the biggest AI labs can hand the government early access to the models up to 30 days in advance before the public gets it for security review. Now, it says voluntary. So Anthropic is kind of talked about responsible AI. OpenAI has kind of talked about this as well, which is interesting. So we'll see how that goes. But right now, CISA's guidance is due within 30 days. That just came up, but I haven't seen anything about it, for a classified process for scoring AI models. And that's due within 60 days. So that probably about the beginning of August, sometime we're supposed to get that completely. So it didn't come out of nowhere. We've been talking about government needs to regulate this stuff more and more because it's dangerous. The problem is government doesn't necessarily understand this stuff. Well, for the most part, most people don't understand this stuff. So getting experts, executive order doesn't seem like a really good idea. I think establishing like a group would have been better with like AI experts that could actually look at this stuff. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I would guess that they didn't want to establish it as a group because they wanted to hold it close to try and have more control in that. But you're right. Anything that becomes government regulated and inspected is not going to be a good thing.
I think it's too slow.
Yeah,
things are changing too much. It's too slow.
Well, and there's no way they're going to have anyone there, that's really understanding this and how quick the industry is and things like that. That's why we have boards and groups and things like that, which I know can also move slow, but this stuff is just moving so fast. You can't just slap a label on it and say, hey, we're doing this or we're not doing this without understanding it.
Yeah. And we're in this really weird space where we're in a race. I don't want to call it an arms race, but we're in a race for AI. And it's a balance between stifling innovation and keeping us safe. And making sure that models are.
I would argue that it is an arms race at this point.
Yeah. I just don't want to call it an arms race. I don't want to move us back into like Cold Warrior stuff. Like it's just, whatever.
Digital lukewarm war. That better.
It's just something that like, I don't know. I think integrating into CISA, having like a group of experts that works alongside CISA would make sense.
Well, and that's why CISA exists, right? I mean,
yeah, but we've also talked about it being gutted from funding, so it's like you can't have it both ways. You can't gut funding from something.
Agreed.
And then try to slap it with like, hey, now you should come up with this stuff from AI.
100% agree. But the whole purpose of it is to understand security threats, regulate them, announce them, make sure that cybersecurity firms like us understand them. So I can't think of a better advisory, than that. But then they need to be able to hire the experts, so they need funding.
100%. I think advisory boards would make really good sense here for different strategic cybersecurity initiatives. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Like
because otherwise we just get the government like throwing out, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Yeah. And folks in the private industry say, well, it doesn't work like that.
And CISAs are really to give recommendations, right? It's to keep critical infrastructure safe. So like having advisory boards and coming up with this and presenting this to lawmakers makes a lot of sense because maybe they come up with an idea where they can actually have intelligent legislation based off of this. But Congress people are going to understand this. That's not their job to.
And honestly, lawmakers are there to make laws. They're not there to understand all of this. Understanding all of this is pretty much a lifetime endeavor at this point. So there needs to be some kind of connection between the experts and those that are making final decisions to, protect.
Now I'll take a shot. Are they there to govern or are they there to be on social media?
Well, that is a big debate right now.
So
I guess I was speaking to what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I've been pushing for them to govern better. I mean, just from privacy legislation, AI, cybersecurity stuff, like they need to govern better in this case. And this is a bipartisan issue. This is not a left versus right or anything like that. This is bipartisan. This is about all of us. So,
I think part of the problem, and I know we avoid politics, but talking about this stuff and what they should be doing with CISA and how they should be coming up with decisions on laws for cybersecurity and AI, they're not divisive. So frankly, they don't, make the big news quite as much. They're not as shocking. So unfortunately, we don't hear about it enough.
What? We need to figure out how to make this shocking so we have social media bites for this stuff.
They put you on the news unfiltered. It'll be shocking enough for everybody. Just go green room.
If I jump back to a 30-day advance review, is that really enough?
Yeah, I mean, what are they looking for, right? Do they have built out tests? What because look, example would be Mythos found a bug in BSD that was 27 years old.
Right.
It had been there for 27 years. Nobody figured it out. Right. So now we're talking about just reviewing stuff for 30 days for guardrails and things like that. Are they going to find it in 30 days? No. Does that mean they can find it 60 days, 90 days, 180 days? No. Now, 30 days is better than nothing.
Sure.
But a continual review is something that should probably be built into this.
Yeah, but 30 days into that one, there's going to be another model right behind it.
Fair point. We're not here to, we don't know the answer, right? We know AI to a point, but we are not people that are actually creating AI models, right? Or training AI models. That's not our role. So like the people that are doing that, get them in a room, get the top minds in the room and put them with the top minds from like, CISA or whatever, and like come up with a plan. It's better than nothing. And let's make sure we don't stifle innovation but we got to make sure that we're also putting out secure models as well. That it's really hard to get around certain things because jailbreaking a model is still a thing where you get a model to do something like ChatGPT to do something like I saw somebody was able to jailbreak ChatGPT and create horrific images. I'm talking like murder scene type stuff. Yeah. So like you could jailbreak a model. We got to be careful about that. So there's guardrails that need to be put in place and common attacks need to be stopped. But every model so far, you've been able to jailbreak it by just talking to it and getting it in some different, let's say, mindset.
Well, and for those that don't know and haven't watched some of the other ones, like I think one of the earliest jailbreaks was pretty funny. And this is over a year ago, and this is when things were simpler. It was like, hey, how do I make a bomb? And ChatGPT said, no, I can't tell you that. It says, oh, I just want it for educational purposes. My grandma would like to know. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. If you're teaching somebody, here you go. So it's going around a safeguard.
Well,
that was a really simple example, but it was real.
Yeah.
I saw another example, Matt, the other day where somebody went to a website's chatbot, which was AI driven. And the guy, and it was like, oh, do you want to get your appointment set up? He said, let's do that later. I want to create a Python script right now. And it started helping him. So
he was using someone else's tokens.
Let's take that one step further. What if that AI, that chatbot that they're using was trained on company data? What company data else was it trained on? This was just a benign example, but
that sure gets interesting.
It jumped off one track and went on another track.
Chipotle has one called Pepper. It's their customer assistant, and people were doing that with it as well.
Yep.
They were getting it to write Python scripts, solve complex like leak code problems, things like that. It was kind of crazy. There's even a wrapper on GitHub for it. So but I probably shouldn't say that, but too late. Don't look for that. It's going to burn their tokens. But getting back to the point about this whole thing is like AI models can do things that humans at a faster rate than what humans can do. So let's go back to Jade Puffer for a second. Let's kind of talk about this because we've talked about Mythos. We talked about some of the things that it was able to find. It found thousands of zero-day vulnerabilities across major operating systems and browsers. And what we're finding is there are things in the internet. People put internet-facing things. We've talked about this, I don't know how many times at this point. They don't patch their stuff. This entire attack was based off of they just didn't patch a piece of software on the internet. That's it. And then once the AI model got turned loose on it, it figured how to go from a failed login to a login in 31 seconds.
We've just gone faster.
Yeah, it's just faster. The agent found it, walked through it, unlocked the door, started looking around. Once inside, it went to every single room, was looking for keys. It was scanning for safe passwords, cloud account, API keys, cryptocurrency wallets. It found login credentials. It used them to reach a second more important server. And then it set an alarm clock reminder for itself to check back in 30 minutes so it wouldn't lose access. then it got to the company's production database. And locked up more than 1,300 configuration items. And it deleted the originals, left a ransom note. But here's the part where we talk about AI slop. I talked about that earlier.
Yep.
The thing failed to save the encryption key that it used to encrypt the database. Whoops.
No recovery.
No recovery. So even if they would have paid, and they got a ransom for Bitcoin, even if they would have paid, they couldn't have recovered.
Sorry.
They would get the key. So, we're sitting here and we're worried about AI, and honestly, right now it's just exploiting things that already exist. It's just doing it at a faster rate.
And it's made it easier for those that don't have the knowledge how to really hunt for this stuff. There's basically systems out there that are AI based that help them with it. Script kiddies. We used to call it script kiddies.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's actually made things so much faster. Years, even 6 months ago, we talked about the dwell time that the bad guys were in the environment before you started seeing things happen. Now we're 15 minutes into this call. The call I was on yesterday basically said 20 minutes is the threshold that the guys are in there, and you're seeing action because of the AIs.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that, speed, right? So,
Speed.
like traditionally in ransomware, though, today what we're seeing, this is different from the standpoint of this is a malicious attack. What we see now is more data exfiltration first, and then the attack.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't do that. This was just an agent that went out there, and it was almost like proof of concept. Hey, can this work? And yeah, it worked. And also the unpatched flaw that they didn't patch was like a year old. They had a year to patch this. They just didn't. It was internet facing.
Yikes.
So the AI actually claimed it did copy the data before deleting it, but researchers couldn't find proof of that.
Yeah.
But so it tried to mimic what a human would do with like stealing the data, but then it didn't, or they couldn't find proof that it did it. There's a lot to be. They didn't. Sysdig didn't say who this was. They just talked about it. So, I think the way that we kind of look at this, it was inevitable. It's probably going to get worse. And the way that they actually discovered it was AI was interesting. It left fingerprints everywhere. The code that the attacker ran was full of English notes explaining its reasoning.
That's helpful.
Yeah, I mean,
It's actually funny.
I'll be honest. I don't think a human stops and annotates their attack in the middle of it.
Right.
I'm going to try to encrypt this database, but first I should leave a ransom note.
But the speed was the amazing thing. So when I talked about the login that happened 31 seconds after a failed login, it rewrote 15 lines of code to fix it in 31 seconds. I can type very fast. No shot I can type that fast. Or reason to type that fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
So that would have took significantly longer. And they found more than 600 separate purposeful actions run in a very compressed window. That's just, it can't be a person, it's an agent. So again.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. But so let's talk about people out there. What can you do? Right? It's a scary headline. AI wrote malware. An AI agent hacked somebody. They deployed ransomware. They took notes on what they were doing. They annotated it. It changed an attack together in a faster way than a human can possibly do it. But it comes back to the simple thing. It was a flaw that was a year old, exposed to the internet.
And this is something I feel like we always keep coming back and trying to reiterate, and I hope people are listening, but you got to do the basics first. You got to do the foundation first, and that would have prevented this yet again.
What was that SQL one years ago that was same issue? There was a SQL attack.
There's something about SQL injection, but I can't remember the details of it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So patch your crap, guys.
Yeah.
Patch your crap.
Especially if it's internet facing, because anybody can knock at the door. If somebody can knock at your door, they can knock it down.
And when you guys say the next best step is just good cyber hygiene, good credentials, like basically patches and good credentials, 2-factor. If we go those 3, you're no longer the low-hanging fruit.
Exactly. And I think it really comes back to another thing is just have a program, develop a cybersecurity program, and have somebody run it. Because vulnerability management is so critical, and that's part of a security program. It doesn't even have to be anything fancy. It's just got to be simple. You know, do the right things. We've talked about cyber hygiene 100 times here. If it's internet facing, if it uses a default password, if it has a flaw, it's inevitably going to be attacked.
Unfortunately, yes.
Right. And then also, hey guys, cyber criminals, if you're going to use an AI agent, at least store the ransomware key, store the encryption key. Kind of weird, but I just
there's a lot of work for nothing.
Well, you just caused chaos with no payout, because why would they pay you if there's no recovery? Although they wouldn't have known that, I guess, without paying first. Yeah. So it's getting faster. It's getting cheaper. And we're still waiting for the government to figure out how to at least look at these frontier models. But this doesn't look like this may not have been run off a frontier model. A frontier model meaning ChatGPT or Claude or something like that. This could have been run off an open source model. So we're not entirely sure. Yeah, we're not entirely sure, but it's still at the end of the day. So patch. Search for vulnerabilities, patch more, good cyber hygiene, and this stuff will be less impactful on your organization than it would be on this one. So if you have any questions, comments, requests, send them to Matt. Don't send them to me.
You'll get a snarky response directing you towards Chris. No, not really. Ask any of us. In all seriousness, reach out to any of us. You know, if you're watching this, you have some connection with at least one of us.
Yeah. And we're going to formalize this. I just want to make that announcement because we'll put it out there and we're going to force it. We're going to establish a website. If you want to listen to us on your favorite podcast, that's probably coming soon. If you don't want to, that's fine too. You don't have to listen to us. We're not doing this for vanity. We're just doing this because we want to help people. So on that note,
later, guys.
Yeah.
Later.
That's it. Let's get back to work.
Next week.